Hello. This is our first video about HTML in the body. So this is the semantic HTML, the elements and tags that occur within the body element of the document. I'm going to talk in this video about semantic markup, about the idea of no naked text, and about heading levels and paragraphs. So first, semantic markup is the HTML elements that belong inside the body of the document. This is the content that shows in the browser window. Semantic markup means that you select the elements that best describe the role or function of the content in the document. So if it's a headline, a heading, a subhead, a title, you use H1, H2, etc. You use one of the H elements to mark it up. If it's a paragraph, if it's a photo caption, or a byline, or a pull-out quote, then it's not a heading, and it should not be an H element. It should probably be a P element. The idea of no naked text means that all text in an HTML document must be enclosed in semantic tags. For most text, that's going to be a P element or one of the 6 H elements. There are some other options, such as block quote, but the most common are going to be the H's, of which there are 6, and the P's. So don't leave text unmarked within your document. There are 6 heading levels in HTML. They go from H1, H2, down to H6. And you'll notice that the size is decreasing from 1 down to 6. This reflects that the H1 is the most important and the dominant heading on the page in terms of the structure of the page, not in terms of design. So the headings on a page form a kind of hierarchy, or they should if you're using the H elements correctly, the way they're intended. So as an example, as this is something that beginners often get confused about, and they use the H elements incorrectly. So if I were making a page about maybe nutrition, and I was going to talk about the 3 meals we eat in a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I had 3 equal segments on my page talking about each one of those meals, I would use an H2 element for each one, for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. I wouldn't go 1, 2, 3, 4. I would go 1 for the main heading on the page, 1, and then I would have a 2 and a 2 and a 2 because these 3 things are equal. If I were to go further inside and have subheadings within the breakfast section, within the lunch section, then those headings inside would be H3s. So as an example, we would have for lunch, right? An H3 for a lunch category, another H3 for another lunch category, another H3 for a third lunch category, and then to dinner, which is equal to lunch, we go back to H2. So this way of using the headings semantically is something that you should get right, get correct from the very beginning. Finally, the P element. Now, essentially it means a paragraph, but it can also enclose text that you might not normally think of as a paragraph, such as a byline, a photo caption, a description of an image on the page. So the P tag is going to, the P and /P are going to surround almost any kind of text on the page that is not a heading. And I want to talk a little bit about the design of the P, the default appearance of the P element, because beginners often try to change this to make it look more like printed text. Well, the web is not print, and you shouldn't do that. So I'm going to show you 2 examples of very nicely formatted Ps. where you can see the default behavior of a paragraph is that it is justified on the left side. It is ragged on the right side. There is a line space in between each pair of paragraphs. So there is space between paragraphs, and finally, another difference from book printing, magazine printing, paragraphs are not indented on the web. There's a good reason for this. It makes the pages easier to scan. It makes it easier for your eye to stay on the text. So the appearance of the paragraph can be changed with CSS. You can change the font. You can change the font size. You can change the space between the lines. You can change the width of the line. You can do a lot once we start working with CSS, but you should not ever change the default appearance of the paragraph, which is to have an aligned left edge, a ragged right edge, and space between the paragraphs, and you never indent the first line. It's just not the way the web is designed to work. So this has been your introduction to using the HTML tags and elements semantically properly, the way they're used in current web design and development. You will see them used in other ways in the past when standards had not been developed, but now we've got established web standards and we try to follow them so that our markup is correct and renders in the best possible way for the users.